Dan Willis here, and we're talking about how to get better credit, and specifically, we're talking about the big three credit bureaus and your FICO score or your credit score. And this is the second video in a series of videos about how to get a better credit score. Now, in 2017, we all have heard about the big Equifax data breach scandal, where according to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, 143 million Americans' names, social security numbers, birth dates, address, and for some folks, even their driver's license numbers were stolen by hackers. We know the big three credit bureaus are financial juggernauts, monsters in the industry. But who are these guys really? Are they part of the government? What about your credit score? Now, let's take this one at a time. The big three credit bureaus or credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they'll each keep a separate and often unique report card about you, also known as your credit report. FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, is the primary credit scoring company. And what they do is they use the information contained on your credit report to actually calculate and determine your FICO credit score. As we said, let's do this one at a time. The credit bureaus are not the government. They have no affiliation or association with our government. They're only regulated by our government. They have been fined countless times for violating consumer rights by our government. These are private, for-profit businesses just like Best Buy, Facebook, Walmart, all the others. However, they have positioned themselves in our society as if they're gods. They earn an estimated $4 billion a year in revenue. In other words, it's big business credit reporting. And this also means that every single year they pump millions of dollars into Washington lobbyists to influence our politricksters and drive their agendas. And they've done this for decades. The credit bureaus simply collect information about you and me. They compile it into our report card or our credit report, and then they sell that information to potential lenders and creditors. They've earned their fortune by selling the information that they've collected about you and me. Only in the past decade or so have the credit bureaus even offered products directly to consumers. Prior to that, you and me, we couldn't actually go to the credit bureaus and actually buy something directly. The credit bureaus have also very effectively invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into PR campaigns to try and blur this quasi-governmental standing. And most people don't see the credit bureaus just the same as Target or Starbucks. Instead, they see the credit bureaus as having some quasi-governmental standing, when the truth is that couldn't be further from the truth. Shockingly high number of people think the credit bureaus are part of the government. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now let's talk about your FICO credit score. FICO is a third-party company, and this is who actually calculates and determines your credit score. And what they do is they take the information contained on all three of your credit reports with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. They pop it into their fancy schmancy algorithm, and out pops your three-digit credit score, one of the most important numbers that virtually determines so many parts of our life. FICO is the only credit score you need to worry about. It's used in roughly 90% of all credit decisions, lending decisions. But we need to share you have more than one FICO score. You'll have one FICO score for your TransUnion credit report. You'll also have another FICO score for your Experian credit report. And then you'll also have another FICO score for your TransUnion credit report. In addition to that, there are also industry-specific FICO scores. For example, if you're in the process of buying a home, the home mortgage industry likely has an industry-specific FICO scoring algorithm. Likewise, if you're buying a car, that industry likely has a unique FICO algorithm, and so on. There is a competitor called the Vantage Score, which is really a small competitor. It was created in 2006 as a joint venture by all three of the credit bureaus, And the purpose was to compete with FICO. Because today there's much ado about credit scores, with companies like Credit Karma and Wells Fargo offering consumers and their customers free access to their credit score. FICO is currently on their 9th official algorithm. And this leads to some misunderstanding because the newest FICO 9 algorithm, and you've probably heard press releases and the pundits on television talking about it, it's a lot more consumer and debt friendly. The problem is not only that most lenders don't use the FICO 9, but as an example, in Wells Fargo offers free access to see your credit score for their customers. In the fine print, if you really look closely, you will see credit score shown is not credit score used in lending decision. Naturally begging the question, then why are you bothering to show it to me if that's not the score you use when you're making a lending decision? And there's many factors at play here, the least of which is, Vantage Score is battling with FICO for the marketplace. That's part of the reason why you see this happening. And there's really 5 credit score components. If you'd like some help and you're sick of living with the expense and the frustration and the annoyance of less than perfect credit, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now let's talk about the 5 components and the 5 factors that go into your credit score. The first one is payment history. This is worth 35% of your overall FICO score. This looks at all the good information and all the bad information that's on your credit reports. The second factor is your amounts owed. This is worth roughly 30% of your overall credit score, formerly known as your utilization ratio, and what it looks at is your available credit, and it compares that to your total debt. This has a focus on revolving credit lines, for example, credit cards. As a rule of thumb, and it's not bad, many people think that debt is bad, but debt, especially if it's in a mortgage or a student loan, that's not going to obliterate or ruin your credit score. The big key here is if you have a credit card with a $1,000 limit and you have a $989 monthly balance and you have $11 of available unused credit. If you go in and apply for financing compared to a guy that only with the same credit card and he only has a monthly balance of $200, in other words, he has $800 of available unused credit, chances are he's going to appear to be a much better credit, more deserving of credit than if you only have $11 on your credit card available to use. It makes sense, and as a rule of thumb, you want to keep your monthly balances, especially on revolving lines such as credit cards, at around 25% of the balance. Using the $1,000 credit limit as an example of the credit card, that'd be a monthly balance of about $250, somewhere around that bad. Again, a mortgage, having a lot of mortgage debt or student loans is not going to ruin your credit score at all. That's okay. Length of credit history. This is the third factor. That's 15% of your overall credit score. That looks at the age of each specific account on your credit report, and then it looks at total how long you as a human being have been using credit. The fourth factor and fourth component is the credit mix. This is worth 10% of your credit score. And this looks at the type of credit do you have and do you use. Do you have a credit card? Do you have a car loan? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have student loans? Generally, the more diverse, the better. But again, that's only worth 10% of your credit score. Then the last factor component is new credit. How often are you applying for new credit? And again, this is only worth 10%. And with normal, regular use, you'll be fine. Don't worry about this. The big key is you don't want to appear to be applying to try and buy a home every weekend. At the end of the day, your credit score is a lot like your grade point average in glory school days past. It doesn't matter if you're acing all your courses, if you're failing the art of walking, because that negative mark is going to ruin your overall GPA. This is also true of your credit score, and this is why it is so important in order to get a better credit score that we remove any dings, blemishes, or negative marks from your credit report. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Again, that's for a free credit consultation, and the toll-free phone number is 1-877-418-7596. This is Dan Willis. We're going to include a link in the description below over to an article at our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. And of course, subscribe and join our congregation, because coming up next, we're going to be talking about step-by-step how to deal with debt collectors, because of course, subscribe and join our congregation. Have a wonderful day, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.